Close your blinds and light a candle with me. I'm Gesh and I welcome you to 3rdEye. Last time, Koishi overcame her awkwardness and proved to everyone that she could make friends. We now find ourselves back in our bedroom cell. Very little has changed. Objects are still cluttered where we last left them. A positive is that Kokoro isn't spying on us anymore. Instead, a look out the window revealed that it's snowing outside. It would be very exciting to get a closer look at that. Whoever this John was, going to a sunny place probably means he's deceased. Oh, this is unexpected. The bizarre doll we returned to Murasa is still in our possession. It must have been gifted to us as a memento for the good time we had together. As we step into the hallway, we find some horrific handwriting about a scary mom, and we can hear the faint sound of a rattle. Is someone playing one nearby? Or am I giving too much significance to the music of this game? Time will tell. If nothing unexpected happens, the upcoming rooms should be most familiar, yet maybe we haven't noticed every detail of them. Is that painting in the top right the X-ray of a fetus? I wouldn't hang something like that up in my room. The item next to the wheelchair sounds like it's a scarf. In the first episode, Koishi only called it gross without giving us more context. An ugly scarf should still be warm and functional enough, but not so vital that Koishi would pocket it. Eye drops, though, we will always pick up. Those weren't there the first time. The rooms may be old and known, but new items seem to have been loaded off. Just as they enter our inventory, the eye drops are used up. How strange that only the 3rdEye needs constant treatment. Koishi's regular, face-based eyes don't have any deficiencies from what we can tell. This part of the corridor also has a really creepy painting. It shows us Siamese twins. It could be a nod to Koishi and Satori, who were partially inspired by Frida Kahlo's famous painting of two organically interlocked girls. Disaster has certainly struck this last part of the corridor. A snowy avalanche has burst through wall and window, burying the trap door. Oh my! In its stead was this piece of nightmare fuel. It's a hideous blue cycloptic monster, and it's after us. It did resemble the 3rdEye. I don't quite understand. Our special organ has been so helpful to us. Why would it be portrayed so undignified? It wasn't nearly as hard to get over the avalanche as it should have been. It has built a natural and apparently robust stairway to the outside. Here we find an unmarked and a marked grave. Once again, it's John, and now we know he has indeed passed away. A look with the 3rdEye reveals what's probably John's ghost. He was a cat, most likely Koishi's pet cat. Finally, we encounter a living person. It's a blue-haired girl, and she's in distress. Her body is stuck in the snow. Before we come to her rescue, though, we pick up this excerpt. It explains that children cannot understand what nostalgia is, and therefore see no point in photography or record keeping. So how can we help this stranger? There is no puzzle, nor is any item required. Koishi has all she needs. She uses the string of her 3rdEye to create a pulley. I've got to say, I'm impressed by Koishi's knowledge of physics. And now I am less impressed and more concerned. We didn't make a pulley, we made gallows. At least we know who it is now that we can see her dress and her wings. Cirno. Despite our attempt at strangling her, she is well and back on her feet. The Ice Fairy is also furious at us, which is understandable. Wait a minute, she's not angry at how we aided her, but that we interfered at all. She wanted to become a snowman. Is that something you can be? Koishi seems just as perplexed. Cirno here is exactly as you'd imagine her to be. She has plans and is very enthusiastic about them, yet the plans themselves are very naive and childish in nature. Seriously, turning yourself into a snowman? Why? Apparently so that she can be held by everyone. Another trait of Cirno is that she is bossy on top of her foolishness, so she tries to win Koishi over for this endeavor. We have 3 choices: yes, yes, and yes. I suppose Cirno's confidence makes it too hard to refuse. Witnessing such incredible enthusiasm and the conviction that one can do anything reignites an old memory in us. Koishi and Satori have been hanging out together in these very same outskirts. Our protagonist has brought a plate of homemade cookies. I couldn't have identified them as such if she hadn't said it. There are many ways one can learn a skill. You can have someone teach it to you, or if you are very talented, you can self-teach. Apparently, Koishi learned baking all by herself, and we are giving the result to our dear Satori. That is so heartwarming, bonding among siblings at its finest. Go ahead, girl, take one. For some reason, Satori is shy about it, even making excuses before finally giving in. What was that face? Oh, it's probably not important. What matters is that the cookie was great. The best she's ever had. That is some high praise. I suppose Koishi is a natural. Throughout the game, she has found a solution to any problem that has come up, so that shouldn't be a big surprise. The word amazing that Koishi uses is something that Cirno typically says. That must have been what triggered this cute little flashback. Yes, Koishi, make more of your delicious cookies. The world is not ready for a master baker of your caliber. Oh my, the cookies were not delicious. Satori lied. I somewhat appreciate that she was unwilling to disappoint Koishi, but if it's so bad that you are puking waterfalls, the truth would actually be better. We are now in the present again, and back to Cirno's wacky ideas. She's made us a rough draft of what she wants to look like. Lovely, stick it on the fridge. The drawing did have a red and blue spot on the snowman. That might have some significance. Cirno handles rolling the snow, which makes Koishi ask a question that we immediately know is somewhat naive. Whether Cirno is cold. The very same describes herself as a snow child. Any fan would have told you Ice Fairy, but we're going to let that slide. Nevertheless, we receive a quest to gather materials. That is our part of the task. Before we begin the search, we ask Cirno a very personal question and learn that she has no friends. Daiose, Eternity Larva, the rest of Team 9. Perhaps this is set before Touhou and she just hasn't met them yet. Ooh, under a scan, Cirno's brain is exposed. Or rather, encased in ice and clearly visible. At least it's proof that she has one? What's more worrying is that her wings pierce through her body. That has to be painful. All the while, there was a barrage of insults thrown our way. It kind of mimicked the Koishi marionette we saw after the game over. Why are we being scolded so often? The scene with the cookies reminded me of when I was little and thought I could self-teach myself to make leek soup. It was hot water with leeks sprinkled in. No broth nor milk to make it a cream soup. I figured out it was no good, and at least it didn't make anyone vomit their guts out. Please don't make the same mistake I did. I think that parent's child is dead. In fact, these might be the remains of that very child, hidden inside a nameless grave. Why is there a graveyard behind our mansion, and why don't we know the people who rest there? Now a broken antique bust speaks to us and asks us pretty deep questions. What we think about responsibility and promises. We avoid an answer. It is somewhat rude to throw such a query at Koishi, implying she might not be too responsible. Here's a rather unassuming screen with a bridge leading over a frozen river. It would have been pointless had there not been a secret excerpt. It is about influence. When Satori lied to us, she did influence Koishi in so far that she stayed ignorant about how awful she was at baking. That could be an ill, harmful influence, as it was just mentioned. There is a corpse on a tree, and now we have undignified the deceased even further. Before we investigate the fallen skull, one of the 3 snowmen on the screen has something to say. By now, it would feel weirder if it didn't. It says that we resemble someone, a certain lady. Could it be Satori? What other Touhou has a similar style to Koishi's? Now we turn our attention towards these remains. Gorgeous? Is Koishi a necrophile? Oh, we misunderstood. There was a sapphire on the skull, that's what was gorgeous. Our protagonist had me creeped out there for a moment. There are clothes and a scarf on the skeleton, but the dress is too indistinct to tell who it is. I don't think it's anyone we know. Come to think of it, the apparel of these snowmen is rather striking. The one we just talked to had a green cap with a star on it. Isn't that Hong Mei Ling's? The rightmost snowman isn't only as eccentric as a certain magician, it also wears the same accessories that are found on Patchouli Knowledge's hat. Finally, the leftmost one has what could be the headband of a French maid. So yes, they are all modeled after the Scarlet Devil Mansion crew. And wouldn't you know it, here's one of them in the flesh, Flandre Scarlet. The vampiress greets us most politely, which is a little intimidating for the insecure Koishi. Flandre may have good manners overall, but she's not looking so humble anymore now that she starts praising her creations. The 3 snowmen were her doing, as well as the Christmas tree we can see right now. If I understood this right, it was Remilia that taught her these skills. Flandre's portrayal here isn't just unusually friendly, she even lends us an object. We don't know what it is yet. In return, Koishi invites her to make another snowman, this master of craftsmanship. While the tree is impressive, Flandre has at least some grounds for her self-grandizing. The mystery item was a shovel, definitely a staple of adventure games. Most likely we will have to dig something up at some point. Here's an old gramophone. I imagine it plays the music we are hearing, a very Christmassy tune. Huh, who knew? Our Let's Play is just on time so that the holiday atmosphere of this scene fits our wintry, jolly season. Fans often joke that Flandre's wings, that she doesn't have right now for some reason, are like Christmas decorations. I wonder if bringing her and the Christmas motif together here was a deliberate choice. I have the strong suspicion it was. We then tell Flandre that there is already another person involved in the construction of the snowman. The more the merrier, right? When we search the box of spare decorations, Flandre gets unexpectedly hostile and selfish. And here I thought sharing was caring. Oh geez, the hidden side of Flandre is impaled by a tree branch. It's similar to what we saw on Cherno, yet even more gruesome. The wound looks fresh and bloody, and honestly has to be lethal. Oh, we should think of our own health as well, and take eye drops before it's too late. The heavily injured Flandre of the 3rdEye's world was quite cheerful though. She fawned about how well she and Remilia got along, and how much she is learning from her elder sibling. That is very wholesome. Now this area stumps me a little. It's the end of the road and there's seemingly nothing around. Perhaps later on this place might have some purpose, but not now. So what can we do at this point? We have a sapphire, a shovel, we have met some new friends and stumbled upon corpses. We won't have to keep wandering for much longer, as returning to the bridge leads to an event. Sadly, it's not a very pleasant one. Cherno and Flandre already know each other, and there is definite beef between the two. The animosity is tangible, and a quarrel breaks out. Accusations are thrown around, and Koishi seems completely helpless as the neutral one in the crossfire. I've been in her shoes. I've had friends over, and hadn't known before the two couldn't stand the other's guts. Like Koishi, I was the one who only wanted harmony, but there was little I could do. Children are stubborn and unlikely to just grin and bear it. Both Cherno and Flandre know the weak spots of the other. For Flandre it's her destructiveness, for Cherno her stupidity. Alleged stupidity, sorry. The tone keeps getting rougher, all the while Koishi can only gaze from one to the other. Is there any way we could intervene? Perhaps there is. Finally, each squabbler tries to claim us as their friend to play with in the snow. Rather than picking a side, there's a chance to work it out and for all to have a good time. We could also throw our hands up and rage quit, but we didn't do that with the Buddhist crew. We're not going to give up this time either. With a small victory in pocket and a new challenge ahead, we're going to leave it here for today. I'm Gesh86, and I will see you again soon. If you are brave enough, that is.